So, hello and welcome to this session where we're going to resume our reading and analysis of this essay on Superstitions by A.G. Gardiner. As we've already seen in the first section of the essay, where Gardiner humorously remarked that how a murder in house number 13 sends a wave of terror in the hearts and minds of the people, whereas the similar event in house number 6 or 7 goes unnoticed. Along with it, he also referred various such events and situations from past and present. So let's see what Gardner says next, and I'm reading the text. I'm not sure that I could go into the witness box and swear that I am wholly immune to these idle superstitions myself. So, what Gardner is saying in the beginning of this paragraph is that it is difficult even for him to claim that he is absolutely free from the superstitious beliefs, but he would like to test their validity by examining them critically. In order to test their validity, he wants to examine them critically. Or what he wants to examine, certain popular superstitious beliefs he would like to examine. So, what he shares next, let's see. It is true that of all the buses in London, that number 13 chances to be the one that I constantly use, and I do not remember until now ever to have associated the superstition with it, and certainly I have never had anything but the most civil treatment from it. So he is saying that in order to keep himself free from this particular superstition related to number 13, he constantly uses bus number 13, or he constantly travels in this bus number 13. And he further claims that he has found no harm, or he this bus has not caused any harm to him. And further, I have never had anything but the most civil treatment from it. It is as well behaved as a bus and as free from unpleasant associations as any on the road. So, in a very peculiar, in his very peculiar, lovable and pleasant style, he is saying that while traveling in this bus, he doesn't have any inconvenience due to this bus number 13. I would not change its number if I had the power to do so. So he is further saying that if he is given the power to change the number of this bus, I would not like to do it, because according to my experience, according to my practicality or experiment, I didn't have such experience that it is a bad omen, or where so here what he wants to say that number 13 is just like any other number. Considering it as a bad omen is a totally illogical and impractical thing. I would not change its number if I had the power to do so. But there are other circumstances of which I should find it less easy to clear myself of suspicion under cross examination. So, in his quest for seeking the logic behind the things or concepts, what is he further saying? That there are certain other superstitious beliefs from which I can't say it with whole clarity. So the next subject under his scrutiny is the belief related to a standing ladder in a house. And related to it, he has already said that there are certain beliefs which I can't clear my suspicion very clearly, as in the case of number 13. So what is the case? Let's see now. I never see, where he is saying, I never see a ladder against a house side without feeling that it is advisable to walk around it rather than under it. So he's saying that it is a usual belief, and we often find ourselves that we prefer to walk around the ladder rather than walking under it. So it is a popular belief, and I say to myself that this is not homage to a foolish superstition but a duty to my family. So after certain scrutiny, he comes to a conclusion that this practice of walking around the ladder rather than walking under it is not a homage, is not a special respect to any foolish superstition, but it is a duty to my family, because it is a matter of safety concern. Because walking under the ladder might cause harm to me. There is a very probability of that something can be dropped upon me from the ladder. That's why it and which can become inconvenience to my family. So that's why it is duty to my family. One must think of one's family. So what he finds that there is a probability that while walking under the ladder, it might happen that there can be any fellow who is sitting or standing at the top of the ladder may drop anything upon you. He may even drop himself. He may have had too much to drink. He may be a victim of epileptic fits, which is a kind of seizure attack and epileptic fits. So again, he is adding humor here. As everyone knows, come on at the most unreasonable times and places. It is a mere measure of ordinary safety to walk around the ladder. So what logic he has found in this belief is that the prohibition of walking under the ladder is largely due to the safety concern. There is no superstition linked to it. Next paragraph. No man is justified in inviting danger in order to flaunt his superiority to an idle fancy. So, what Gardiner is warning, he seems to warn us that it is not justified that you are inviting danger in order to show off that you have got over certain kind of superstitious belief. Your examination while examining such notions or superstitious beliefs, you should be very proportioned and justified, and it is never be justified when you are inviting any danger in order to just to show off that you have overcome certain kind of superstitious belief. Moreover, probably that fancy has its roots in the common sense fact that a man on a ladder does occasionally drop things. So, and moreover, in this case of standing ladder in a house, there is a very common sensical fact that it might be dangerous for you, that something can be dropped upon you. So there is a logic that we should prefer to walk around the ladder rather than walking under it. No doubt many of our superstitions have these commonplace and sensible origins. So here towards what Gardiner seems to hint is that it might be the case that there can be certain superstitious beliefs which we call superstitions, but there may be any the beliefs could rise due to some logics or common sense, but those logics or those commonsensical activities become or turn into superstition when man fails to see or understand the logic behind them and just follow them because they are told to, because they are just in the way, or they are followed by their ancestors or elders, and that's why they are also doing so. So it is in that case they turn into superstition. So here we can state that what could be the rise of superstition. Here we can find the reason behind the rising of superstition is that it's the man's unwillingness to challenge his fears or beliefs. He doesn't want to challenge his fears, and that's why superstitions take place. As on many occasions we see that man don't know, or humans don't know, that why are they superstitious, and when and they are and they are continue and they are comfortable with that certain kind of superstition, and the clarity they give for their belief in certain kind of superstitious notion is that it is something that has always been there, or it is taught to them by their elders. So these are the things which make any concept superstition, because man it's man's failings to find the logic, or to find out, to seek the logic behind certain concepts. So here what by his critical perspective or critical purview Gardiner seems to suggest us. Next line. I imagine, for example, that the Jewish objection to pork as unclean on religious grounds is only due to the fact that in eastern climates it is unclean on physical grounds. So to extend this idea further, what Gardner is saying here, that the Jewish objection to pork or swine flesh is not actually guided by religious or superstitious grounds. It is actually due to the fact because the eastern climate where these people reside is not suitable or favorable for rearing the pigs. That's why these people prefer chicken to pigs, and this is the main cause of the Jewish objection to pork, not on any religious grounds. So next paragraph. All the same, I suspect that when I walk around the ladder, I am rather glad that I have such respectable and unassailable reasons for doing so. So now, after getting this reason, getting this logic, that he knows now that what is the reason behind or this idea of walking around the ladder, he is sharing his gladness of his discovery that he has now some good and undeniable, unassailable, undeniable reasons for doing so. Even if conscious of this suspicion and ashamed to admit it to myself, I walk under the ladder. I'm not quite sure that I have done so as a kind of negative concession to the superstition. So here he is now sharing with us his dilemma, that sometimes I also feel that am I, though he has discovered, but sometimes while walking around the ladder, he sometimes feel that am I doing it due to my, as am I justifying to, or am I conforming to my superstitious beliefs in order, as I'm walking around around the ladder, as it is told me from my very upbringing. So here he is sharing his dilemma, that what could be the reason of my this action, behind my this action, actual reason. I have challenged it. So and that's why his rationality makes him to challenge this notion rather than being unconscious of it. So as he's saying that unconsciously maybe I'm doing, I'm following my beliefs. That's why there is only one way. So what way he finds of dodging the absurd dilemma of overcoming or coming over or getting over this absurd conflict or dilemma, that am I doing out of my superstitious belief, or am I doing because I know certain good and undeniable reasons, and that is to walk through the ladder. So the only way left to end this dilemma is that no walking around the ladder, no walking under the ladder, we can walk through the ladder. But this challenge is quite painful, because this is not easy, this is quite tough. So now next, what Gardner says here, in the same way, in the continuation of his dilemma, he is sharing his personal experiences where he finds himself practicing these superstitious belief despite his rationality, despite his critical purview of the things. What he is saying next is, in the same way, I am sensible of a certain satisfaction when I see the new moon in the open rather than my left. So in this line, or with this line, Gardiner is here introducing certain traditional beliefs and rituals associated with the arrival of new moon. And it is the widespread belief that it is a widespread belief related to the to a certain position from which a new moon should be seen. And the belief is that for luck, new moon should be seen over the right shoulder, and it is very unlucky if the new moon is seen over the left shoulder. So knowing this belief, or this belief is in his mind as he is brought up in with this belief. So Gardner is sharing his dilemma, that I also feel a certain satisfaction, a secret satisfaction, when I happen to see moon open rather than my left, because somewhere in the corner of my heart there is a secret fear related to this, without any reason, without any logic. So how these superstitious belief influence our psyche, that is discussed here. I would not for any consideration arrange these things consciously, but if they happen, so I fancy I am better pleased that if they do not. So this is a reiteration of the same idea which we have discussed in the first section of this essay, where he says that being a modern man, we don't accept or confess that we are victim of superstitious beliefs, or we are in the influence of these beliefs. But when something which is called bad omen according to the superstitious beliefs, that is avoided, we feel a strange happiness, or we are happier if they are avoided. So same, he is saying that I'm better pleased than if they do not. And on these occasions I have even caught my hand, which chanced I caught my hand, I found that my hand in an automated process, which chanced to be in, what is that automated process? Let me read it first. Which chanced to be in my pocket at the time, turning over money. So here he is referring to one more superstitious beliefs, which is again associated with the new moon or the luminary, that whenever a person happen to have a sight of the luminary or new moon, he should turn the coins in his pocket, which will bring good fortune for him. So according to this belief, he also unknowingly, it happens with him, that his hand surreptitiously, a little surreptitiously, secretly, I thought, but still undeniably turning it, that undeniably I can't deny of this fact, that very secretly, whenever it happens, whenever I have this sight, such a luminary or new moon sight, my hands automatically goes in my pocket, and it happens that I find them that they are turning over the money in my pocket. So, and I can't deny that they are in the habit of doing it. Hands have habits of their own, and one can't always be watching them. So what is he saying with this humorous, with the put of humor here, that hands have habits, that our hands have habits which are actually our habits of practicing superstitions in our day-to-day life, that even unknowingly or unconsciously we are practicing it, and we despite being rational or despite being vigilant, that we will not succumb to these superstitious or illogical beliefs, we find ourselves in their influence. So with this line, what Gardiner is saying here, that how superstition exercise a strong hold on us, and how profoundly they affect our decisions. So I stop at this point today. We'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you for now.